the session. Salesforce Admin Training Day 9. Today what we are going to learn. So we'll quickly go through the previous session and then we'll talk about the share multiple records, and then we'll talk about the what is the public group and what is the navigation steps to create a public group, right? And then we'll talk about one of the use case. And then we'll talk about the automated sharing rules. How can we do the automated sharing rule? And then we'll talk about the sharing rules. And then we'll talk about the navigation steps to create a sharing rule. And then we'll talk about the requirements. And we'll talk about the sharing mechanism. And then Apex sharing, how to do the Apex sharing. And then we'll talk about the OWD private and OWD public read only and OWD public read write, and then OWD. This is just a recap of that previous one. And then we'll have a conclusion. Then we have a homework, quiz, trial head, interview questions. Now, what did we learn yesterday?
OWD.
OWD. Sharing settings.
OWD in detail. Yes. Then we have seen the public group. Definition of the public group we have seen. Now, before the public group, I explained the sharing mechanism. In the sharing mechanism, we have seen the manual sharing. We have seen manual sharing. Through the sharing button, I can share it to the single user or a multiple user. When I'm sharing to the single user, the level of access is read only, right? I can specify read only or a read write. Whether I'm sharing to the single user or a multiple user, I can choose what are the level of access that I wanted to give whenever I'm sharing the record, right? Whether I wanted to share the record read only or a read write. This is one of the mechanism. This is one of the mechanism. Now, yesterday we have shared a record from user 1 to user 2, right? But the scenario here is if I have a multiple records in the system. If I have multiple records in the system and at the same time I have a multiple users in the system. When we have a multiple users and if I wanted to share the first record to the multiple users, it's not all the users, randomly I wanted to share it to users. Like user 1, user 3, user 7, user 9, user 10. Right? So user 12, 15, like this, I wanted to share the record. Similarly, record 2 also I wanted to share with them. Now, like record 3, record 4, I would like to share with a different group, different people. So what I'll do is whatever the restricted members are there. For example, if I'm receiving the record 1 from the Hyderabad team, it should go to the Hyderabad group. If I'm receiving the issue or a call from the Bangalore, and if I have created a record for the Bangalore, then it should go to the different group of users. And users might be in the multiple groups. So it's not necessary that user is already occupied in the public group 1, cannot be in the public group 2. No, it can be possible that user can be part of both the groups. Now, support public group. Now here, this is called as a public group. So where is the public group comes? In the manual sharing. Whenever I'm sharing the manually, instead of selecting the single user and multiple user, I can choose the public group there. I can choose public group. Now let's see what is the public group. This is also we have seen yesterday. While sharing the record to the multiple users, right? If I wanted to share the users, like there are 10 users are there. If while sharing the records to the 10 users, instead of selecting the each member, then what I can do is I can group them together and I can directly share the record to that group so that the ultimately the indirectly the other users will be getting the access. So here public group is nothing but while sharing the records, multiple users instead of like if I'm sharing the records with multiple users, instead of selecting each user separately, we can add them into a group which can be which is called as a public group. Public group contains a set of users and subordinate subgroups also. So it can contains users as well as subgroups. While sharing the record, we can share the record to the public group. We can share directly the record to the public group, and so that what will happen is individual members will be getting shared automatically. Individual members will share automatically. Now we can create a more than one public group inside the organization. There is no restriction on that. And all the public group related records are stored into the object or a table called group member. Object called group member. All the data will be stored. Whatever the records we are creating in the public group, that everything gets stored in the object called group member. And a user can be part of multiple groups. Now, till this point, we have seen yesterday. Now, the next point is we are going to see today how to create a public group. Now, we got a clarity that how the public groups, when we use a public group, we got the clarity. Now, the next step is how to create a public group. So, in order to create a public group, go to the setup, search for a public groups. Search for a public groups. That means let's go to the Salesforce, go to the setup. Here, search for a public group. Search for public groups. And once you clicked on the public group, like you have found the public group and you clicked on the public group, then you will see a new button. You will see a new button on the public group. So click on the new button and enter this is a new button, and then you will be able to see this screen. As soon as you click on a new button, you will be able to see this screen. In this screen, you have a couple of fields. Few fields are label and group label. Label and group label. So enter the label, right? So then group label will be automatically taken. Next, you have a checkbox. There is one option is available here, checkbox. This checkbox is basically grant access using the hierarchy. You have a checkbox, grant access using the hierarchy. Now, even if you are using the public group, if in the public group, you can add any users. There is no restriction that I should be adding the users only within this particular role or this particular subordinates only I need to add. There is no restriction. You can add any user into the public group. But if you, whenever you are sharing a record, that time what you have to do is if you want to do it through the grant access using the hierarchy, you can do it. And then we have an option here, add, remove. Add, remove. So basically, whoever the users you wanted to add or whoever the users you wanted to remove it. So you can use here the buttons. There is a add button, there is a remove button. So you can use this add button as a remove button. So both, if you want to add it, select the user and click on this add button. If you want to remove from here, selected member, select the user and remove it. So click on save button. So this is what the steps in order to create a public group. These are the navigation steps to create a public group. First, you will click on a public group and then you will click on a new button. Once you click on a new button, there are few fields like a label name. So you need to enter the label name and group, whatever the group label and the name. So label name, it will be you have to enter it. Group name is automatically taken. And then here we have a grant access using the hierarchy. Usually what we will do is we will unselect this grant using hierarchy. We will unselect that grant using hierarchy. And then you need either you wanted to add users or you wanted to remove the users, what are the options you wanted to do, you can do it. And then click on a save. Click on save. So let's go ahead and see that. Now here, this is the public groups. Click on a public groups. Click on a new button. Once you click on a new button, you have a label and a group name. Let's say that I'm creating a different groups. Okay, so enter here some value and then group name. Usually what we will do is, this is selected any record shared with the users in the group or also shared with using the hierarchy in role hierarchy. So in the real time, most of the times we will uncheck this. We do not use that checkbox because we can choose n number of users. Now here, search, either you can search the different users here or you can search the roles, what are the roles are there, or you can search roles and subordinates, right? And then you can also select the public groups. You can also select the public groups. So what we will be doing is, like, you will be selecting the user, select the user, whoever is the user is there. And if you wanted to add here selected members, you have to click on add button. So that user will be added to the selected members. Now add a delegated administrator user. Add delegated administrator groups. So what is this delegated administration group? Is nothing but you have a separate option, delegated, search here, delegated administrator, delegated administration. So these delegated administrations are basically, these are the users. What are the user you create here? Okay. These users is not actually the admin users. They are a different user, but they have some access, like which are access is related to the admin. Access is related to the admin, like they can do the password resetting, right? There are some users who are not a admin, but we wanted to give some kind of a flexibility for those users, right? In that case, we will keep it. So in real time, this is mostly we do not use it, delegated administrator. In case if we are going to use it, now I have a team. There is some sales team is there. So in the sales team, there is nobody is a admin, right? But out of those 30 members are there in that sales team. Out of those 30 members, one member I wanted to give some special permissions. Some special permissions. For that, what we will do is that user out of 30 out of 36 members, what we will do is we will add that one person here so that they will get a access there. Now let's see here how to create it. So warning, it says that whatever the group that you are creating it, they will get a access of the login access policy for this org. That means they can update the login access policy. So that means whatever the login access policy is there, it will be applied to these users also. And we highly recommend disabling the login access policy setting if you allow delegated administrator to have a login access, right? So that is totally fine. So I'm creating here delegated admin. Now click on and save. Now what I can do here I can add a user. There is I can add it here. So what I did, there are the different options are available. So as soon as you create it, it says delegated administration, user administration, assigning the profile, assigning the permission set, public group, whatever is there, you can assign it. For example, you wanted to assign a user, right? Delegated administrators. Let's click on a add button. So when I click on a add button under delegated administrators, now as soon as I click on a lookup field, it is giving me the list of the users, If I select this person, click on a save. So what will happen? This user will get some additional access. Like that, if you want to add a role and subordinates, user administrator is basically you are adding a role and subordinates. Now click on here, role and subordinates. Now you can select here. Now what it is saying here, specify the role and subordinates for the which delegated administrator for the group can create and edit the users. That means they will have a special permission to edit the users. Click on search. Now let's say CTO. Now the delegated administrator cannot modify the role hierarchy itself. They can only create and edit the users in these roles. Now they have a special permission here who are not a admin, but we are giving a some kind of a special permission. They can go and edit the users. They can go and add the users in the role. So this is what we are creating it. Okay. Usually when we create it, so that means whatever the users are available in the delegated administrator, they have a special permission. Special permissions is nothing but they are not a admin, but part of the admin access they can able to access. Now let's go here public. Now let me refresh. Now I can see here delegated administrator. Delegated administrator. So whenever I'm creating the public group, if I want the delegated administration also to be part of it, select it. So these are the options which are available in the public group. Now let's see one of the use case. Use case is I have a 100 records. 100 records are there. Now, in this 100 records, each record, right? Every record might not be created from same location. Now I call the call center. Now I'm calling the call center. Like me, everybody calls to the call center, right? So in a day, it's not that only me are facing the problem. It's not me, only me is a facing the problem. So there are multiple users who are calling the toll-free number. So based on the location, there are 100 records are created. Now these 100 records, they need to differentiate how to assign this record to the groups. That means right now I have 100 records and I have some groups. I have created a Hyderabad sales group, Hyderabad Mumbai sales group, and the Bangalore sales group. These are the some groups are available. These are some groups are available. Now, what I can do is, if there is a record that is received from the Hyderabad, automatically it should go to the Hyderabad sales group. Automatically, it should go to the Hyderabad sales group, right? It should automatically go to the Hyderabad sales group. Nobody should be assigning it. Nobody should be sharing the record. So before what we did, I clicked on the sharing button. I clicked on the sharing button here. One sharing button was there on the record level, right? So on the record level, we were having a sharing button, and that sharing button, I have clicked on it, and then I selected the user. Then I selected the user. Now, instead of a user, you can select the public group also. You can select the public group also. Now, whenever the record 1 is created, I am assigning that to the Hyderabad sales group. I am assigning to the Hyderabad sales group. Now, I can combine all these groups to the another group also. I can create combining this, I can create another group. Now, let me show you that how to create it. So for that, let's take a requirement. Let's create a public group, which is called Hyderabad Sales Group, which is Hyderabad Sales Group. And in this Hyderabad Sales Group, what I'll do is I'll add a person, two users, I will add it, user 1 and user 2. They are the one who are the part of the Hyderabad group. Okay, I'll create a Hyderabad sales group. In this Hyderabad sales group, I'll add the two users. So let's go ahead and create it. Now here, I'm creating the Hyderabad sales group. Hyderabad sales group. Now I'm selecting here users. Users are one user and then second user. Two users I'm selecting. Two users I'm selecting it. Right? Now I do not want the delegated admin. Now I'll remove it. So I'm creating I'm creating the new public group. The group name is Hyderabad Sales Group. You just need to mention the label name. Group name is automatically taken. Uncheck this grant access using the hierarchy. We do not need that. Now I'm selecting the users here. Now you can select the roles also. You can select the roles also. Roles, public groups also you can select. Now this is the first one which I'm creating it. Let's click on a save. Let's click on a save. Now one record is created, which is a Hyderabad sales group. Now I'll click on a new. So now by default, if I wanted to create another user, I can choose another user as well as I can create another public group also. In this public group, it is a part, I can select another group also. That means whenever I am creating the user as a group, user or a group, whenever I am creating the public group, there is no restriction that I can, when I selected here user, only all the users that I can select it, no. You can choose one user, one public group, one role, you can select multiple, like I have a VP. Now you can select this, right, which is possible. Now this is already a group. Hyderabad sales group is already group. You can include this group in another group. That means there is already a parent group. In the parent group, you can include the child group. You can include the child group. So which is possible. Let me create another group here. Bangalore sales group. Now uncheck this. Now let me select this public. Now let me select the users. Now I'll say here user 1 is Himaja. This time user 2 I'm selecting as a Messi. Now let's click on it, save. Now this is just a warning. It says that managers of the group members will not have access to the record shared with this group, right? So that's just a warning message. You can click on it, save. Now what I can do is I can create another public group, and those public group I can include all the subgroups here. Let's say this is the main group. This is main group. In this main group, I have a multiple groups are there. I have multiple groups. I'll just click on it, save. Right, so total we have created a 3. If you want, you can create another one, which is a Mumbai sales group. Let's go ahead and create it. So click on a new. Now enter here Mumbai sales group. In public group, it is possible that you can have only one user. There is no restriction that group should contain more than one user. No, group can contain one user. There are scenarios that group can contain a single user, because right now they do not have more members to handle in the Mumbai related issues. Now they are going to hire a few members. So when they are going to hire members, then they are going to place it into the Mumbai sales group. So like this, we have to create a public group. We have to create a public group. Now what I'll do is, so far I have a public groups. We have created 4 public groups. Now I'll create an account record by logging in as a Lionel Messi, and I'll share the record to the Hyderabad sales group, and the access I'll give it as a read edit. access, we'll give it as a read and edit. So that means we have a record that is created by the Messi. And once the record is created by Messi, I'll click on the sharing button. And on clicking on the sharing button, I select the user here. I select the public group, which is called as a Hyderabad sales group. Hyderabad sales group. So when I select a Hyderabad sales group, who all should be getting the access? The access is Himaja and Kishore Kumar should be getting the access here. Now let's go ahead and log in as that user. Click on users. Now click on a login. I'm logging in as a Messi. Now here I'm creating the account. I'm creating the account record. Click on a new account record. Let's say this is a public group account. Public group account. So when we are creating the public group account, now I'm entering the details here, rating warm, type equal to prospect, industry equal to communication, and then let's click on it, save. Let's click on it, save. Now once the record is created, right now this record is shared with only one. When I click on the user, it says that shared with one group of user. Who is this group of user? Who is this group of user? So it's the same person, whoever the user is created, that the same person is the, because he is the person created it. He is the person created the record. So that's the reason he will have a full access. Now what I'm going to do is I'll select the public group here. I select public group. So when I select the public group here, now I can choose here the group is Hyderabad sales group. Hyderabad sales group and click on a save. Now what happened? The record is shared. Record share the data for Hyderabad sales group. Now click on a sharing button. Now it will say two group of users. Two group of users. Now in the two group of users, I shared the read-only access. I shared the read-only access. But what is our requirement? Read-only or read-write? It is a read-write. It is read-write, right? When it is a read-write, so what I'll do is I'll simply change here, read-write, click on a save. Perfect. Now what will happen? Automatically, whoever is the part of that Hyderabad group, they should have access to this record. Now part of the Hyderabad group is Himaja and Kishore. So what I'll do is I'll try to log in as one of the user. Now let's log in as a Kishore. Now I'm logging in as a Kishore. So when I log in as a Kishore, let's go to the account. Let's go to the account. Click on accounts. Now here, click on all the accounts. Click on all customers. Now where is the things? Public group account. Public group account. Details. Now here, who is created by Messi. But who can see that? Kishore is able to see this. That means whenever it shared this to the public group, whenever it is shared to the public group, Hyderabad sales group, ultimately the whoever is the part of that, that means whoever is the users are part of that public group will automatically get the access to those records. No, it will not show an error. It doesn't matter. Basically, when we are grouping together, like in the public group, when we are grouping together, it doesn't show anything. So it will not check whether the user is already here, user is here also. Then if I create a main group, now it should throw an error. No, it will not throw an error. It will not throw an error. So it is basically It doesn't check what are the users are available. That kind of a level of security is not there in with the public group. So public group is just you add the users. No, it doesn't check internally whether the user is part of one or user is part of two. It does not check it. Any questions? Public groups. Yes, you can delete. Delete in a sense, like you have an option here. Now, right now it is logged in as a messy. Let me refresh. Now, if I go to the public group, click on a public group. Now, in the public group, if you want to delete it, you can delete it. For example, I wanted to delete a main group. You can delete it. You can delete it. If I delete a main group, is it like a child groups will be deleted? No, it won't be deleted. It won't be deleted. Only that record you are deleting it. Only that record you are deleting it. Child group also can have a sub-child group. It is possible that one group is part of another group is part of another group, which is possible. But that complication, we do not do it in the real time. In that level down, we will not do it. That means I have a public group. I have a public group. Within the public group, I'm adding another public group. Within that public group, I'm adding another one. Within this public group, I'm adding another one. Within this public group, I'm adding this, so many public groups. This much complication, we will not do it. Very rare scenarios, we will create a parent and child. Most of the times, we will have a, within the parent, we will have a users. We will have a users in the public group. Most of the times we create it as a users. We include a users. We do not include another public group, which is a rare scenario, which is rare scenario. Sharing is already done. Sharing is already done. Now, for example, if I delete a Hyderabad group, I delete a Hyderabad group. Now, when I delete a Hyderabad group, now what it is saying that it is already there is a record is shared to this person. You cannot delete it. You cannot delete. So that means you have done already the sharing. The one which is already shared. When there is no sharing is there, you can delete it. Like there is no sharing was there for the Mumbai. There is no sharing we have not done. So if I click on a delete button, I'm able to delete it. Right? But I have already shared to the Hyderabad sales group. I have already shared to the Hyderabad sales group. If I click on a delete, what it will say is, I cannot delete this because there is already record is associated with this. And what is the object it has? This is the account object. And what is the record? Public group account is the record. Public group account is the record. So this record is shared to the Hyderabad sales group. So that's the reason we cannot delete this group. That's the reason we cannot delete this group. If there is no records are shared to this group, then we'll have an option to delete it. But if there is any records that are shared to this group, you cannot delete it. You cannot delete it. So whenever the record is not shared, then only you can delete the record. If I have shared the record, I cannot delete. So for example, if you want to delete it, this one. So what you have to do is you have to go to this particular account, and in this particular account, check what is the sharing is available. What is the sharing is available. Now click on here, click on sharing. Now, whatever the sharing, it says that 2 members are available. So if you want to delete the public group, first delete this. First delete this and click on it, save. Now go back to the public groups. Now go back to the public groups. Now here we have a public groups. Now I have deleted the sharing for that person on this. Now I can delete it. Now I can delete it. Clear? Later, if you wanted to add with the same name, you can add it. Hyderabad sales group. And what is the users? Users are selected. This is the user 1 and this is the user 2 and click on it, save. Whether you select a user or a delegated user, both are same. So delegated user is nothing but that is also a user. Delegated admin is also a user. It is also a user. Don't think that is something different. It is also user. User, delegated user, users, and everything is same. Sharing to user group or a delegation to the public group is both are same. Just a second. Whenever we, first of all, we cannot delete the public group. If the record is already shared with the team, I cannot delete the public group, which is not possible. Okay. What is the question this is? Yeah, both are same. So there is no much difference there. So that's what delegation is nothing but it is basically the admin is basic delegation administration is they have a special permission. That's it. They are not the admin, but they have a similar permission which are related to the admin. So whenever we are sharing to that user, both will be having the same functionality permission. Now, what is this question? Which are the tasks the admin need to set up and provide to the client? Are you asking related to the public report, public group? So what, I did not get this. What are the which are the tasks the admin needs to set up? What does that mean exactly? Whoever is the user is created, that is the same person will be sharing the record. If the Messi is creating the record, if the Messi is creating the record, Messi can only share the record. If the Kishore is creating the record, Kishore can only share the record. If Messi is created, can Himaja can share it? No. If Messi is created, can Kishore Kumar can share it? No. If Messi is created but admin want to share it, no. Admin can share it, but that is not the right way. Whoever is the user is created, they are the owners. Whoever is the owners of the user, they should be able to share the record. Clear? Now let's move on. Now this is the public group. Any questions before I'm moving on public group? Offline, online? Okay. Now let's take a further step. Okay. Let's take a further step. Now, so far we have discussed in a sharing mechanism, we have discussed the topic manual sharing. That is the first one. Second one is automated sharing, which is using the sharing rule. The second one is automated sharing. So total 3 type of sharing mechanisms are there. One which we have already seen. Manual sharing button. I can share the manually to the user as a single user or as a public group. That is the manual sharing. And the second step is we can share using the automated sharing. So automated sharing is nothing but so it is basically using the sharing rule. The second step is automated sharing. The second rule is automated sharing. That means using the sharing rule without a manual effort. How can I share the record? First one is a manual effort, manual sharing. A user has to go to a record and user has to click on a sharing button and then user has to share. Whoever is the owner is there, that owner has to share the record to the another user. It's a manual step. But without any manual action, I wanted to do the sharing automated. Which is called as a automated sharing. Automated sharing, how will I do it? The option is we have a called as sharing rules. By using the sharing rules, I can share the record to the user or a public group. I can share the record to the public group with the same read-only and read access. So automated sharing will have a sharing rule. In using the sharing rule, I can share the record to a public group. Now let's assume that the use case. What is the reason that we are going for a automated sharing? Now assume that the whoever is the record that is creating the records, okay. Now in a day, Messi is creating the thousands of records. In a day, Messi is creating the thousands of account records. Now every account he has to go to the account and then he has to click on a sharing and then he has to share with the public group. He has to share with the public group, Hyderabad sales group or a Bangalore sales group, whatever it is available, he has to do it because in a day we are receiving the calls, 1,000 records we will be receiving, more than 1,000 in the real time, right? So Hyderabad, I'll receive it, Bangalore, I'll receive it, Mumbai, I'll receive it. So in a day, they are like a keep on opening up the each account record. Every time, whenever the record is created, they have to open that record. They have to open this record and click on a sharing button, and then they have to share the record. Doing these steps with a one record or a two record, maximum 5 records, it is okay. But when you have a thousands of record, how will you do it? How will you do it? Opening up the each record and clicking on the sharing button and sharing to the Hyderabad sales group or a Bangalore sales group and click on a save. It's a time consuming. You are repeating your steps again and again. You are repeating your steps again and again, right? So you are repeating the steps here. You are repeating the steps. So that's the same scenario. That is a waste of time. Now I have 100 records here. Now these 100 records, we have a different groups which are available in the public group. Record 1 I have shared, right? Record 2 I have shared. Record 3, 4, 5, 6, 50, 100. Like a thousands of records I am sharing it. Like that means each record I am opening up and clicking on the sharing button. I am sharing it. So my steps are repeated. My steps are repeated. So like this, 100 records will be assigned to the a specific group. I could know. So like this, multiple record sharing to the use case is a different. like you cannot do this every step. Repeating the steps is very difficult. Repeating the steps are very difficult. So instead of you doing the manual step, what we will do is we will create a automated sharing. We create a automated sharing, which is called as a sharing rule. Automated sharing, which is called as a sharing rule. Now, sharing rule is, we will use this sharing rule if we do not want the manual step. In order to avoid the manual step, we will do the sharing rule. So that means while sharing the records to the users with the manual sharing, if the number of records are more, then it will be time consuming process. So while sharing the records to the users with the manual sharing, if the number of records are more, then it will be a time consuming process. Right? It is a time consuming process. Now, in order to avoid that kind of issues, so Salesforce has came up with the concept called sharing rule. Automated sharing concept called sharing rule. We can use this sharing rule. Basically, it is for automated sharing. That means as soon as the record is created, I wanted to share the record to the specific group. As soon as the record is created, we can share that record to a specific group. Now, sharing rules are used to share the records to the required public group, role, and you can share it with the public group, role, and subordinates, but not the users. You cannot share the record to the users. By using the sharing rule, you can share the record to the required public group. You can share the record to the roles. You can share the record to the roles and subordinates automatically based on the certain conditions. That means whenever you are creating a record, if the city is equal to Hyderabad, then it should be sharing the record to the Hyderabad group. If city is equal to Bangalore, then that particular record should be shared to the Bangalore group. That record should be shared to the public Bangalore sales group. So based on this condition, that means this is one condition. Like this, there are certain conditions you can cross-verify. So based on the conditions, you can directly share a record to the public group. You can directly share a record to the public group with the use of sharing rule. Sharing rules will always fire after insert, after update. That means once the record is saved, in the system. Now I'm creating the record here. Now I'm creating the record. Now when I create a record, now I'm creating a record here. So for example, on the account, I have a record which is called as I'm creating a one record, which is account 1. Okay, or else I'm creating the Infosys account. I'm creating it. Whenever the account is created, right? So for this Infosys, I have received a call and it is from city. City is, let's say, Hyderabad. We received a call specifically from Hyderabad. We received a city which is from Hyderabad, right? So whenever this account is created, so far what we have done is, if this account is created by the Messi, if this record is created by the Messi, then what we have to do is, you have to this Messi will be opening up the record. Now Messi has created this record and he will click on the sharing button. On the account level, here I have a one option button is available. Here I am clicking on the sharing button. Here I am clicking on sharing button. When I click on a sharing button, there is a pop-up box which will be displayed, and in this pop-up box, I am selecting the user or a public group. I'm selecting it, right? And then based on the selection, I'll be giving the level of access. Whether it is a read access or a read write access, I'll be giving this access, and then I'm clicking on here button called share. This is what we used to do. This is called as a manual sharing. This is called manual sharing. This is called manual sharing. This is called manual sharing. Now, automated sharing. Automated sharing is nothing but same. I have an account. I have an account. Now I received an account here. When I received an account, that means Messi is created the account. Messi is created the account. Once it is created, then what will happen once the record is saved? That means Messi is creating the record, and on the record level, they are clicking on the save button. They are clicking on the save button. So that means as soon as the user click on a save button, what will happen? It will sit inside the database. That means the record will go and sit inside the database. Now here I have a database. In this database, this is a database. As soon as we click on a save button, so whenever we click on a save button, it has to go to the database and insert a record in specific table. So insert in this table. Right? As soon as here the user is click on a save button, the record will go to the database on this specific table. Here the table is called account. In this account table, it will go and insert the record. That means once the record is saved into the database, or once the record is updated in this database, which is called as that means after insert, after update. That means once my record is saved into the database, once record is updated into the database, then the sharing rule is going to apply. Now, what is the sharing rule? It will automatically execute. Once the record is saved into the database, automatically system will fire it. Saying that sharing rule. Automatically system will fire the sharing rule. It will check first the conditions. What are the conditions that are looking in the sharing rule? So it will check, okay, city equal to Hyderabad. Is the record is qualified or not? Yes, record is qualified. The city is Hyderabad. Whenever it says Hyderabad, yes, it is qualified. Now, who is the record that we need to share it? Now, here it will be mentioned as a public group name. So we will mention the public group name here. The public group name equal to Hyderabad. So these all will be happen at the back end. Users are not doing here. User is done only this part. Now, what is the system is doing it? System, whatever in the red color is there, the system is doing it, and it is sharing the record to the Hyderabad sales group. Whenever it is shared to the Hyderabad sales group, right? So we are sharing, automatically it is sharing the Hyderabad sales group. Whenever it is shared to the Hyderabad sales group, automatically the records will be shared to the account. Right? So this is which is called as a automated sharing rule. This concept is called as a automated sharing rule. Automated sharing rule. Now, let's go ahead and create. Let's see that how to create a sharing rule. Okay, there is a lot to learn about this. Now, I'll not take the questions right now because it will be covered all the questions in the moving on. Now, sharing rules. Whenever we are creating a sharing rules, we have a two types of sharing rules. We have a two types of sharing rules. Is my voice is clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. Sharing rules. There are two types of a sharing rule. One is owner-based sharing rule. Second one is criteria-based sharing rule. Criteria-based sharing rule. There are two types of a sharing rules. Owner-based sharing rule. That means whenever the record is created, whoever is the owner of the record, based on that record owner will share the record to the user group. That means if the record is created by Messi, condition is created by Messi, owner is Messi, then share these records to the different group. That means I'm looking here owner. If the owner is Messi, then share the record to the specific group, which is called as a owner-based sharing rule. Owner-based sharing rule. Owner-based sharing rule. Owner-based sharing rule is nothing but based on the record owner, it will share the record to the associated group. It will share the record to the associated groups. Now the next one is criteria-based records. Criteria-based records. Criteria-based records are based on the certain conditions. Based on certain conditions, it will be based on the certain conditions. It share the record to the public group. Based on the certain conditions, the records will be shared to the public groups. The record will be shared to the public groups. Based on the certain conditions, the records will be shared to the public group. These are the two type of sharing rules. One is a owner-based sharing rule. Second one is a criteria-based sharing rule. Criteria is nothing but based on the certain conditions. Based on certain conditions, the records will be shared. Now let's see how to create a sharing rule. Set up, search sharing settings, select the object and click on a new. Now, sharing settings, you need to search for a sharing settings. Now you remember before also we went to the sharing settings. For what purpose we went to the sharing settings?
Real shape.
OWD, yes. So OWD is the one which we have went there. For OWD, we went to the sharing settings. Now, wherever the OWD settings are available, same place we have a sharing settings. We have a sharing rules. In the same step, we have a sharing rule. Now, let's go to the sharing settings. Now, search here sharing settings. Sharing settings. Click on the sharing settings. Now, on top, we have a organization-wide defaults. If you scroll down, you will see something concept called sharing rules. You will see concept here. It is called sharing rules. You can share the records for each object. That means you will see here sharing rules for the lead object, for account object, opportunity object, like that. Every object you have a specific sharing rule. That means every object's sharing rule is a separate section. Like lead sharing rule, account sharing rule, opportunity sharing rule, case sharing rule, campaign sharing rule, user sharing rule, right? Like every object has a different sections of the sharing rule. That means sharing rules are divided by the object. That means each object will have a separate sharing rule concept. Each object will have a separate sharing rule concept. Now here, for example, I'm creating a sharing rule on the account. I'm creating a sharing rule on the account. Now click on a new button here. Click on a new button. When we click on a new button, these are the 5 steps we will see. 5 steps we have. We have a 5 steps. Step 1. Step 1 is the rule name. What should be the your sharing rule name? What should be the sharing rule name? Now, why we have a 5 steps here? Now, whenever you are creating the automated process, whenever you are creating the automated process, you need to have what is the rule that you are creating it? What is the rule that you are creating it? So that means you need to specify the name. You need to specify the name, right? Now, sharing rule has a 2 types. One is a owner based, second one is a criteria based. Now, what type of a sharing rule you are creating it? What type of a sharing rule you are creating it? Are you creating the owner based or are you creating the criteria based? Are you creating the criteria based? Now, once you decide it, now what are the records you wanted to share it? What are the records that you wanted to share? That means you cannot share all the records, right? You cannot share all the records. You cannot share all the records. There is a specific condition you need to provide it. What are the records that you wanted to share it, right? So you will specify what are the records that you wanted to share and whom to share it, whom to share it, whom to share. And then next one is a what is the level of access? What is the level of access? Whether I'm giving a read access or a read write access. What is the level of it? So that means what is the rule name, right? Which type of it? What is the rule name? Which type of it? And what are the records you are creating it? What are the records that you are sharing it? And whom are you sharing it? Which access level you are sharing it, which access level you are sharing it, what, which, what, whom, which. That means what is the rule name, which type of a sharing rule you are creating it, what are the records that you are sharing it, right? There are 100,000 records are there. Out of those, which are the records you are planning to share the record automatically, and whom do you want to share it, right? And what is the level of access you wanted to give it? What is the level of access you wanted to give it? So step 1 is rule name. Now rule name is nothing but what is the name of the rule. Now label, you need to specify it. Rule name is automatically taken by the system. Rule name is automatically taken by the system. Step 2. Step 2 is select your rule type. Select your rule type. What is the rule type? You wanted to go for based on the owner or you wanted to go for based on criteria. Step 3 is which record you wanted to share it. Which record you wanted to share. Which records to be shared, right? So there you will be selecting it. Step 4, select the users which you wanted to share it. Select the users which you wanted to share it. And the 5th step is what is the level of access. These are the 5 steps which are available. Let's see one of the requirement. Now the requirement says configure a sharing rule on the account object. Configure a sharing rule on the account object. To share the account record, okay, to share the account record to the Bangalore sales group. Bangalore sales group, if the account record meets certain conditions, that means below are the conditions which are met. That means whenever we are creating the account, if the account rating equal to hot, and if the account industry is a finance, and if the account active equal to yes, and if the account customer priority is high, customer priority is high. If these all conditions are met, then share the record to the Bangalore sales group. If these conditions are met, share the record to the Bangalore sales group. Bangalore sales group. Now let's go ahead and see that. Let's implement the scenario. Let's go to the Salesforce. Now I'll say here, this is a, let's assume that finance accounts. I'm creating the rule name is finance accounts. Second step is rule type. I wanted to go with the criteria based. I wanted to go with the criteria based. Now, what is the criteria? Criteria is, the first criteria is account rating. Account rating should be high. Account rating equal to hot. Now, the second step is industry. Account industry equal to finance. Account industry equal to finance. Insert selected, and the next one is active equals to yes. And then we have a customer priority. There is a option customer priority. If the customer priority equals to high, equals to high. Now these are the conditions which I am specifying it. Now this, whatever these icons are there, these icons you will see only for the pick list fields, only for the pick list fields. If you select here account name, I'm selecting account name equals to. Now, am I getting that option here? I'm not getting it. I'm not getting this binocular. If I select another pick list field, let's say that I'm selecting the active, immediately that is coming here. So this is only displays whenever you have a pick list fields, then you will get these options. If there is no pick list field, that means if you are not selecting here the field as a pick list field, then you will not be able to see these icons. Yes, custom, everything you can add it. Now, this is the criteria. Now, once you have specified the criteria, let's go back and cross verify. Rating equal to hot, industry equal to finance, active equal to yes, custom priority equal to high. Right, rating equal to hot, industry equal to finance, active equal to yes, customer priority equal to high. So this is the conditions. Now, click here, there is a something called add filter logic. Add filter logic. That means it's a mathematical operation. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Do you want to qualify all these conditions? Then only it should be assigned the record to a specific group, or you can specify here 1 or 2, 1 or 2 and 3 and 4. That means 1 or 2. That means either of this condition is true, and third condition is true, and the fourth condition is true, and the fourth condition is true. Now you can add more, whatever the mathematical logic is there, you can add it. Okay. So right now I wanted to verify all the conditions. There is no or condition here. So I wanted to cross verify all the conditions here, and I wanted to cross verify and condition. Now that is filter logic. Now, if you want to add more of them, now you can add here, for example, I'm adding the account equals to, now let's say here Infosys, right? And then it is not going to the next one. Now click on here, additional options, include records owned by the users who cannot have a assigned to role, right? So right now we do not have this. So I'll just say that additional option, this is include the records owned by user who cannot have a assigned the role. So right now I'll not go for that assign role. So this is basically based on the role hierarchy. We cannot. Now here you have a one more option here, which is called as a add row. Add row will be available only when you click on the filter logic. By default, add row you cannot see. Here, if you want to add any row, you cannot see here. Now click on this add filter logic. When you click on add filter logic, it will say here add a row. Add a row. Right? Like this, you will be able to add multiple rows. So one by one it will add. You cannot add a 4 records additionally or a 3 records additionally or a 5 records additionally. So maximum you can assign, you can add a 25 conditions. Maximum you can add a 25 conditions. More than 25 you cannot go on. So you can add here. If you want to remove it, it will remove step by step. Maximum, the limit is 25 criteria based. You can add it here. Maximum 25 criteria based, you can add it. Now I'm removing all of this. Now this is also, I'm removing it. Right? So clear the filter. This is the logic. Now, instead of selecting here field operator value, can I add my own logic? Right now, we do not have that option, writing my own logic into the public groups. We do not have own logic, custom logic. Writing it is not available. Next one is select the user that you wanted to share. Now this is the criteria. Now whom do I wanted to share? I wanted to share with Bangalore sales group. And the level of access, which I'll say here, default account contact access is, let's give it as a read write. Opportunity private, case is a private. Click on save. Now one rule is created on the account. Now if you scroll down, account sharing, you will see this. These are the account sharing rule, right? This is the account sharing rule. See here, account rating equal to hot and account industry equal to finance and account active equal to yes and account customer priority equal to high. If these all conditions are met, then we will be assigning to a group called Bangalore Sales Group. Now, can I assign to a user? You cannot assign to a user. Now, the question that comes from the interview saying that, now I wanted to create a sharing rule. Okay, that sharing rule should be assigned to a single user. Sharing rule automatically should be assigned to a single user. Right? So it is assigned to a single user. So this single user is, that means how will you do it? Now let me come to that part later. Now let's see this. This is the sharing rule which we have created on the account. created on the account sharing rule. It is already created on the account, right? The sharing rule is created on the account. Now, once the sharing rule is created on the account, now let's go ahead and create. Let me log in as a user. User is, I'm logging in as a Messi. Now I'll create a record. I'll create a account record. Now here account record equal to, let's say here, public sharing rule account, right? And here the rating which we are checking is hot. And industry, let's select it is a finance. And then we have some options, active equal to yes. And then we have a customer priority equal to high. Now I'll click on a save. As soon as the record is created, now I'll click on this sharing. Now what happened? It says 2 group of users it is shared. Who are those 2 groups? Automatically, Bangalore sales group is assigned to this group. Who is assigned? Let's click on this view sharing history. Now, Bangalore sales group is who is part of it. Let's click on this Kishore. Right, let's click on Himaja. Now this is Bangalore sales group. Who has assigned it? Bangalore sales group. Through what? We have a account sharing rule. Reason for access? Sharing rule. There is a sharing rule, right? Finance account sharing rule I have. Finance account sharing rule I have. So what it happened? This sharing rule is executed at the back end. This sharing rule, the finance sharing rule is executed automatically. Finance sharing rule is executed automatically. So when it is executed automatically, as soon as the record is saved, into the database, that means once the record is inserted, after insert, once the record is updated, after update, then automatically my sharing rule gets executed and it will be assigned to a specific group based on the conditions. Based on the conditions, it will apply. Now let's say that I'm creating the another account. Now I'm creating the another account which says that, let's say here, Wipro account. I'm creating the Wipro account. Now for this Wipro account, I'll say rating equal to hot and the industry equal to agriculture and customer priority equal to high and then active equal to yes. Now I'm saving the record. What will happen? Will this record automatically share to the group or not? Will this record automatically share to the group or not?
Yes.
Why it will share? Here I have a rating equal to hot and industry equal to agriculture. What is the condition that I am checking?
Finance.
Finance I am checking. Customer priority is high. Active equal to yes. One condition is not meeting. Rating is meeting the criteria, right? Active is meeting the criteria. Customer priority is meeting the criteria. But what about the industry? Industry will not share. It is not meeting the criteria. When it is not meeting the criteria, will it share the record or not? It will not share the record because the conditions are not met here. Conditions are not met. Why conditions are not met? Because we have a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right 4. So till 4. That means all the conditions should be qualified. Then only I'll assign it. So here 1 is, yes, 1 is qualified, rating equal to hot. This is true. Now second, industry equal to finance. No, this is not true. That means it is a false. And false and true, what will be there? False and true, what is the output? false and true. What is the output here? You will ultimately, you will see false. At least one condition is false, everything gets false, right? Because we have a condition here, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This is the condition. But if you have a condition here, it says that 2 or 3, that means industry equal to finance or account active equal to true. In this condition, this record might have shared. This record will be shared because here we are writing the or condition. That means second condition, either second condition should be true or a third condition should be true. Second condition is industry equal to finance. This is false. Then what about the third condition? Third condition, what is the third condition? Account active equal to yes. So it is true. That means if either of one is a true, the entire condition will be true. Right? So like this, we will be writing the logic. Like this, we will be writing the logic. So whatever you are writing the logic, check the conditions, check the filter criteria. Whatever the 1 and 2 mathematical operation is there, check that. Now, here we have one more button called recalculate. Recalculate. What is this recalculate? So basically, whenever we create a sharing rule, this sharing rule is, once it is created, it will be applicable only for a new records. Only for new records. It will not be applicable for existing records. It will not be applicable for existing records. For example, I'm changing here condition. Add filter logic. Add filter logic. If I change the condition here, 2 or 3, right? So I'm changing the and to or. Click on it, save. Once it is saved, now what are the record that I have created it? Will this be automatically applied? Because I have updated my sharing rule. So this is automatically updated. As soon as the record is changed, automatically updated. Why it is updated automatically? Let me change back again. Now what I did, click on edit. Now let's say here, I'll say here instead of industry, I'll say here banking. And I'll change it here to 2 and 3. Right, 2 conditions I'm changing here. One is industry equal to banking, and then I'm changing the filter logic also, I'm changing it. When I click on it, save, what is happening? The recalculation of sharing access will continue in the background. You will receive an email notification. Do you want to continue? That means recalculation, which is recalculating it. So that means this is the one. Sometimes recalculation does not happen. Sometimes recalculation for the existing records. It won't happen. Now I have updated the sharing rule. Now again I'm refreshing the account. Now I'll click on here sharing. Now this time it is updated. That means automatically it is updating the recalculation at the backend. But sometimes for the existing record, recalculation does not happen. When the recalculation does not happen on the existing records, that means the records which are already there in the system. If you do not see, after modifying this sharing rule, if you do not see any result on the existing records, what we will do is we will click on this recalculate. That means it will recalculate entire org, including the existing org and a new org. So whenever you see that client will say that we have modified the sharing rule, but it did not apply to the existing records. When it did not apply to the existing records, apply to the existing records if we wanted to recalculate. So whenever you see that client is saying that we have modified the sharing rule, but it is not reflected for the existing records, then simply click on this recalculate button. Simply click on this recalculate button. That means it will recalculate the sharing rule and it will apply to the all the records, existing records, new records, everything it gets updated. Everything it gets updated. Clear? So that is a sharing rule. The second concept of say sharing mechanism is a sharing rule. The second concept of sharing mechanism is a automated sharing, which is a sharing rule. Using the sharing rule, you can share the record to the public group or a role and subordinate, read only, level of access is read only or a read write. That is the second one. Any questions on the second topic? Automatically it will be triggered by the Salesforce. But in case some scenarios, if you feel that the existing records did not updated correctly, then you click on the recalculate button. Yes, you can see that custom objects also will be available. All the objects, custom objects or a standard object, every object has a separate section called that object name and then sharing rule. Recalculate, that means I'm calculating the sharing rule again. I'm calculating the sharing rule again. That means I have made a changes to the sharing rule. There is a sharing rule which I have written long back. Almost 1 year back, I have written a sharing rule. Now I wanted to modify the sharing rule. I'll modify the sharing rule. Once I modify the sharing rule, automatically Salesforce is recalculate all the existing records. But in case, if you see that there is some record is not recalculated or it is not recalculated properly, it is not recalculated properly. In that case, we have to manually click on the button called recalculate. Yes, it will be applied. All the arithmetic operations, whatever you see, everything gets applied, updated. Right? So recalculate, calculating again, recalculate. That means calculating the rule again. Which rule? Sharing rule. What is that means? That means look for existing records, right? And update the records based on the sharing rule. That means update the sharing. What are the sharing concept is there? Update the records sharing option based on the sharing rule logic. Based on the sharing rule logic. Any questions? Now, the third concept is called, usually we do not cross the 25 field. 25 field criteria is a maximum. So in real time, we will put hardly 4 criterias. We don't put 25. If you are putting a 25 criterias, in the object level only we have a 30 fields. Now that means entire records you are choosing it. Almost entire records you are choosing to share the record, which is not a fair. So maximum we will put a 5 field criteria.
Ma'am.
Okay, the third concept is called apex sharing. The third concept is called apex sharing. So this Apex sharing is, we will do it through the code. We will do it through the code, which is called as a Apex trigger. We will do it through the code Apex trigger. So Apex trigger, Apex sharing, Apex trigger. So the third one is a Apex sharing. We will do it whenever we do the development. That time we will do this sharing mechanism. So sharing mechanisms are three types: manual sharing, automated sharing, Apex sharing. Manual sharing, automated sharing, Apex sharing. So sharing mechanism is a three types. Three types. So Apex sharing, we will see it during the development. And next concept is OWD. So we have seen the logic account. Whenever we place it as a private, what will happen? Which is nothing but the record will be seen by only the person who is creating the record. Only the person who is creating the record, only that person can see the record. If it is a public read only, that means public read only means right now whoever is created the record, that person can see and others also can see the record. Organization wide, if I say public read, that means if the VP is creating the record, ideally when it is a private, the VP will be seeing the records and whoever is the CEO is there, they will be able to see the record. But here I'm saying here public. Public means everybody is able to see the record. Everybody able to see the record that is created by VP. But when they are able to see the record, what is the level of access? Here it says read. Here it says read. That means I am opening the read access publicly for this particular record. Public read only is nothing but whoever is creating the record, their record they can see as well as their managers can see. Others also can see the record with the read access. When we say read write is nothing but others can see it as well as they can edit the record. Publicly, everybody can see it and others can also read and write the record. So this is what we have seen yesterday. So we have a public read only. We have public read only. So that means if the object OWD has been assigned to public read only, then if any of the user creates a record inside the object, then the record will get visible to all the users in the organization. Public read only means if any of the user creates a record inside the object, then the record will get visible to all the users inside the organization. The record owner and his manager will get a full control, but others will be able to see the record with the read only access. When we say read write, which is nothing but if any user creates a record inside the object, then the record will be visible to all the users in the organization and other users will have a read and edit access also. They can create, they can read it, they can edit, but they cannot delete the record. So delete won't be available on the sharing. Sharing is only available. Sharing is always either you read the record. Whenever I share it, I have an option read, or else I have an option to read and edit. I do not have an option to delete it. I cannot share the record to delete, right? This is not possible. They cannot delete it. Whomever I'm sharing it, they cannot delete it. They can only have access to either read or a read edit. Read and edit. Now, conclusion, what did we learn so far? And so we have seen sharing, multiple records, public group, navigation steps, use case, automated sharing, which is a sharing rule, and then navigation steps to create a sharing rule, the requirement, then finally sharing mechanism. We have seen what are the different sharing mechanisms are there. We have seen it. I have seen. And then Apex sharing, we will see that during the development. And what will happen on the OWD private, public read only, public read write. This is just a recap, right? Then we have a OWD. Now, the question here is, what are the different level of data access in Salesforce? What is the different level of Salesforce access?
Manual, automated,
Manual, automated. This is the interview question. What are the different
public
level of
read.
data access we have? What are the different levels? Whatever so far we have discussed, those all are different level of access. When I say different level of access is, I'm not talking about read only, read write. No, I'm not talking about that. What is the different steps we have in order to maintain the access in the Salesforce? OWD and profiles.
File permissions is
Role.
Permission
Role.
on public
hierarchy,
Rules,
and
Role
manual
hierarchy.
sharing rules.
Sharing rules. Right. So we have a different set is, one is a org word. The first one, this is the interview question. Whenever they ask a different interview question, you always specify org wide security. We have object level security, field level security. That means object level security is nothing but having this org wide. So organization level security, and then we have a object level security, and then we have a field level security. Then we have a field level security. Now these are the things which we have. These are the which we have it. Now here, organization level security, object level security, field level security, right? Object level security, field level securities will be available on the profile and a permission set. Record level security is which is available on the organization by defaults, role hierarchy, manual sharing, automated sharing, Apex sharing. Organization by defaults, I have a role hierarchy, manual sharing, and then automated sharing, then I have a Apex sharing. So these are the different level of access which we have. These are the different level of access which we have. Now questions, what are sharing rules?
owner based and criteria based sharing rules.
What is sharing rule here?
Access in the record.
The automated
Sharing of the records based on criteria.
Based on the criteria. Right. Now, what are different type of sharing rules we have?
Owner based and
Criteria based.
criteria based.
Not the location. It's not a location. It is a owner based and it is
Criteria.
criteria based.
Differences between the manual and automatic sharing in Salesforce.
So, by using manual, we can check single
In order to share
user.
multiple,
If we have more users, we will use automatic sharing.
For manual sharing, it will be a time-consuming
Time
process
consuming.
if you want to share more records.
Manual sharing is done for each record.
Whereas in automated sharing, multiple records can be shared. Large number of records can be shared.
Yes.
The manual sharing is granting the access to the specific records to set of records to specific users and a group of users manually through the sharing button on the record detail. Automated is nothing but automatically granting the access to the record based on the predefined rules and the criteria. Now, one question you might receive it in the interview. What is the one thing which is available on the manual sharing, but it is not available in the automatic sharing? One thing which is available in the manual sharing, but which you cannot do it in the automatic sharing.
Single user sharing.
Criteria, ma'am.
Recalculate single user, which we cannot do. So if you want to do the single user, you have to create a public group in the automatic sharing. Explain the different level of access that can be granted through the sharing rule. What are the different level of access that can be granted through the sharing rule?
Read and read write.
Code of organization, right? Record levels.
Read it. Now, how to share all internal users whenever the criteria is met. Internal users means whatever the Salesforce users are there. If you want to see, this is also interview question. How can you share a record using the sharing rule? How can you share the record to the internal users, all the internal users? How can you share it? How can you share it? Now we have an option in the public group. Now go to the here sharing rule. In the sharing rule, click on new button here. When we click on a new button, we have an option here public group. Public group, when you select a public group, along with the public group, it will come option as a all internal users. All internal users. That means you can share with all the internal users. You can share with all the internal users. Clear? Now, how to share a records with a single user through the sharing rule? How to
Manual
share?
sharing, or we can create one public group.
We should
with single
create the
user.
public group.
Mhm.
Then we can select that public group in that sharing.
In the sharing rule, I'm not asking the manual sharing. In the sharing rule, how can we create it? So in the sharing rule, we have to create a public group with one user, then we have to share it.
Hmm.
Now the question here is how to share all the internal users. How can you share all the internal users? That means where is the internal users are there? Where is the internal users are there? How can we share it? So using the public group,
Using the public group, we can select the
we'll
internal.
share. Somebody asked the last question. Are they clear about it? Now, what are the difference between the role hierarchy and sharing rule? What is the difference between the role hierarchy and sharing rule? What is the differences between the role hierarchy and sharing rule? Right, so role hierarchy in the Salesforce, role is increase the data visibility to a particular user. It can be done through the sharing rule or by building the role hierarchy. What is the sharing rule does it? If we want to give a access, if I wanted to give a access to the user, we use the sharing rule. Right. Now the next one is homework. Configure the public group, Bangalore sales group, by adding the two Salesforce platform users as a group. That means you have two users which are part of the profile called Salesforce platform users and assign them to the Bangalore sales group. And second homework, create a OWD setting for a lead is a private. OWD setting lead is a private. Configure the sharing rule on the lead object to share the lead records to the Bangalore sales group. Now this is not possible. Now just do the first one homework. Only first homework.
And ma'am, how to send homework? We need to take screenshots of the homework and send it to you.
You can send it to me through to the Samskar IT.
Okay, I need to take the screenshots and add to the Gmail. Like that, I need to send.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, can you tell a bit about sharing based on record owner?
We will see that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, it will be updated. And if you change anything, it will be recalculated again. Take this as a homework and do it. It will override definitely. So whatever the highest one is there, it will be there that highest. Take this as also homework. Create a record and share it with manual user and share it with automated user and see what is the level of access they are getting. What do you mean by list of records you are not able to see? By default, you will not be able to see. You have to search it, enter some name.
I tried that also, but I didn't find them. Not on see the username.
So you clicked on here sharing,
Yes.
right? So what is the users you are trying to search here?
Available users with their names only.
Okay, can you share your screen?
Yes.
Just a second.
Post disabled participants.